Hey Buddhist hikers, I'm Dries.
I'm Jente.
Behind these walls lies the monastery of Poblet.
Which is said to be a prime example of the austere beauty of the Cistercian order.
Let's take you along. Three lines of walls separate the spiritual world of Poblet with the secular outside world, almost like a Christian fortress. After the recent Christian conquests of the 12th century, this land was depopulated. The Count of Barcelona, Ramon Berenguer IV, turned to the Cistercians for help. 12 monks and an abbot from the Abbey of Fontfroide founded the Abbey of Poblet in 1153.
Immediately after its foundation, the monks began construction on the abbey church. Many donations from other nobles saw the abbey's lands grow exponentially. The lordship of Poblet grew to be one of the most extensive in Catalonia. It included 6 baronies, 37 villages, several farms and 5 priories. It had grazing and fishing rights stretching to the Pyrenees.
Poblet feels like a Christian fortress, which is even more evident when standing in front of the final curtain wall, protected by the royal towers. They were built during the War of the Two Peters in the 14th century and were meant to defend the monastery against any future enemy.
Finally, we have reached the cloister, the heart of the abbey. Around the mid-13th century, the monks were finished with the construction of the abbey's main buildings. The monastery we see today is of course the result of remodeling and restorations over the centuries. In the cloister, Romanesque and Gothic architecture come together in beautiful harmony.
The 4 wings of the cloister symbolize the 4 dimensions of the human being. This gallery is the corporeal wing. Here the monks nourish their bodies. Connected to it is the lavatorium, where the monks wash their hands when returning from their labors.
Attached to the corporeal wing is the refectory, where the monks ate their meals while one monk read scripture from the pulpit on the side. It is still being used to this day.
Where there is a refectory, there is of course also a kitchen. 2 meals were served during the long summer days, while in winter the monks would only eat at midday. The duty of chef rotated each week among the brothers. Even though it feels large today, it used to be larger still. Behind the blocked up arch lies in fact the modern kitchen.
The calefactorium, or warming room, was one of the few places in the monastery where a fire was lit. It was possibly the only one where it was kept burning night and day. The original fireplace was left at the doorway. Faint lines still show its outline.
We continue to the intellectual wing of the cloister with parlor and scriptorium. The parlor was one of the few places where monks were allowed to share a chat with their fellow brothers. The scriptorium next to it is where manuscripts were copied by hand. Nowadays, it makes a fitting library.
The chapter house is where the brothers gathered each evening to read an excerpt of the Rule of Saint Benedict. It is also where novices received their habit and made monastic vows. And from the beginning of monastic life, it is also the end, as it is the final resting place for abbots, in accordance with Cistercian tradition.
The Abbey Church is almost cathedral-like in its dimensions and decorations. It was made possible with the patronage of not only local lords, but also the kings of Aragon themselves. In the 14th century, the church was transformed with Gothic alterations and decorations. It houses a royal pantheon for the House of Aragon. 8 kings, 6 queens, and many princes and princesses find their final resting place in the church. The 2 arches, with 6 tombs each, are the most magnificent. In the 16th century, the old altarpiece was replaced with a monumental one made out of alabaster. It is one of the finest examples of a Renaissance art in Catalonia.
The ambulatory and apse were built in Gothic style in the 14th century. The groins of the vaults, remarkably, serve no structural purpose, but are an amusing, albeit somewhat amateurish attempt at imitating a Gothic vault.
From the church, we enter the dormitory. Its lofty dimensions show just how big the monastic community at Poblet must have been.
In a history, hikers first were actually able to walk on top of the cloister. Apparently, a second gallery of the cloister was built in the 15th and 16th centuries. The arch at 3 of the corners are the only remains.
At the opposite side of the dormitory, we see some of the best examples of Catalan, non-religious Gothic architecture. The windows are of the palace of King Martin of Aragon, which was built in the late 14th century. From the top of the cloister, we also have a magnificent view over the Abbey Church and its Gothic bell tower.
abbey did have some hardships to endure. It suffered damage during the First Carlist War in the 19th century and was even closed down and plundered that same century. It fell into disrepair and ruin. Luckily, the monastery was refounded in 1940 and repair and reconstruction took place, which saved this masterpiece. As always, we're not able to give a full record of its history, but feel free to check the sources we mention in the description to find out more.
The church obviously exemplifies the religious wing of the cloister. The last remaining one is the social wing. King Martin's Palace is a part of it, of course. In the gallery, we see many identical tombs, not of monks, but of lay brothers. They were peasants who lived a monastic life and performed labor for the abbey, but lived separate from the monks.
The last room we visit was the Lay Brothers' refectory. Its sober Gothic architecture is a fitting end to what has been a mind-blowing experience in one of the most beautiful abbeys we have ever visited.
That must be the most beautiful monastery I've ever seen. What do you think?
I concur.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were the History Hikers.
Like, comment, subscribe and all that good YouTube stuff if you want to see more of these kind of abbeys, monasteries, historic religious places.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye!